If you haven't known by now, Sonic.EXE Disaster Reborn has finally re-released. And with that, they brought back the original survivors. Inside of this video, we'll be ranking all of the survivors from worst to best to see which is the best survivor right now inside of TD Reborn. So without further ado, let's begin. Starting off in 11th place, we have Rouge the Bat. Rouge is a support character able to put down sensors to detect other teammates and EXEs, and is able to put down traps and have a dodge attack. There's two main issues with that. Number one, when you're sliding, the iframes are still pretty wonky, so you get hit most of the time. And second of all, it's not really that important to see where the killer is, since most of the time they're either chasing you or you're trying to stun them. Not only that, if you're not good with timing, her remote trap basically does nothing, since it has a 2-second activation queue. With that, Rouge can be used in some situations, but since servers only have 7 people, I recommend many other characters over Rouge. Now, in number 10, this might come as a shock to you, but personally, I think Silver deserves to be the second worst. Before you go crazy in the comments, remember, this is of now in the game's current state. Silver is another support slash stunner, able to throw an orb to stun, but also put up a shield to block teammates and speed up his teammates. One of his more bigger issues is that his orb ball is really wonky. This means that if you hit the killer with it, half the time it just doesn't work. This leads to situations where you're vulnerable, since honestly, the other two abilities don't really help you out that much when fighting with the EXE. Although the speed is very helpful, the issue inside of this game is the killer is so much faster than you that it doesn't really make a difference. It's basically going from snail speed to turtle speed. Kind of there, but not really. Also, since of now his shield is so small, it can be easily just ignored. But I put Silver above Rouge since he can come useful in many situations, especially when defending teammates. But now, we're on to number 9. Coming in 9th place, me and my friends all agree that Knuckles should deserve his spot. Knuckles is a close-range stunner, being able to punch the EXE and stun him for 2 seconds, or use his block to block the EXE and push him away from him. One of the issues with him is other than these two, that's it, and each of her cooldowns are pretty long. Also, there's many times where you look like you hit the EXE, but the hitbox is so tiny that it just phases right through them. Although it is nice to have a stunner, since he's such a close-range character, it gets him into a lot of situations where he can die very easily. For example, you could just miss your block entirely and get grabbed by Colossus, or you can block and Tails Doll just hits you with a slash. It's really not that effective. But since we did close range, now for number 8, we're doing long range. As of 1.31, in 8th place, I believe Tails deserves to be there. Since this isn't 1.4 Tails, he only has 2 abilities, which is Arm Cannon, which allows him to shoot the EXE, stunning him for around 2.5 seconds, and Glide, which allows him to fly. The issue with Glide is that it has such a low cooldown, and if you're all alone and use Glide, the EXE could just sit under you and wait for you to drop down where they can instantly hit you. But also, since he only has 1 stun ability, Arm Cannon, it does have a long cooldown as well. One thing that does make him better than Knuckles in my opinion is since he's long range, he can really help out teammates by sniping the EXE while they're running away. This is why I normally class him as a support character even though he can stun, since he's practically a sniper. If I make this list again in 1.4, Tails would definitely be higher, but as of now, I think he deserves 8th. Now, back to supports for number 7. And in 7th place, we have Cream. Cream the Rabbit is a complete support character, able to heal her teammates and give herself a speed boost. This is useful since although it isn't permanent heal, she's able to do over 100 HP in overheal. Now this is useful since certain characters like Colossus are able to do 65 damage in one hit, so being able to tank that is very useful. The problem I've often find with her is anytime you use a heal, you have to be pretty close to your teammates, and most of the time those are your teammates getting attacked. This means as soon as you use your ability, the killer immediately comes in your direction because it's like, oh, free hit. Also, her speed boost is pretty useful, but the issue is if you use it after reviving, after a few seconds, it just cuts out and doesn't work anymore. She's a little bit buggy, but is very useful in a lot of situations, since getting that extra hit can mean a character lives or dies. But as you'll see shortly, I feel like there's just a better character for that, since there's actually 2 characters kind of like Cream. But if they keep her playing 1.4 where she does permanent heal then overheal, she would definitely be higher. But as of now, she's in 7th. Now, in 6th, we have Amy Rose. Amy is basically like Knuckles, having close range abilities to stun the killer, but there's a difference. Instead of Knuckles having 1 stun and a block, Amy technically has 3 stuns, and one of them is long range. This long range stun is called Hammer Throw, able to stun their EXE for 3.5 seconds. The only gimmick with that is you drop your hammer, so you have to pick it up again before using your other abilities, and puts everything on cooldown. But also, when you use hammer spin, you're practically invincible, and if you time it right, you are able to hit the EXE twice for 2 stuns. Because of how cooldowns work, you're able to chain all 3 abilities in together. So you can use your hammer swing, then your hammer spin, and then hammer throw, able to stun the EXE for upwards of 10 seconds. Also, when you drop your hammer, you are able to do a dodge roll, but like I said with the dodge rolls, they just don't give iframes for some reason. Now, the reason why she's so much higher than Knuckles is, like I said, she has 3 stunning abilities, and since their cooldowns are all different, you're able to use them at different times. If it was at the very beginning of the release, where her hammer throw was only 10 seconds and had a hitbox of the moon, she would be first place. But since they finally fixed those bugs, I feel like 6th place is where she deserves. Now, some of you might not agree with me, but you'll see why. Believe that. Now, coming in 5th place is Sally Acorn. Sally, like Cream, is a complete support character, having no abilities to attack the EXE. Sally's abilities consist of shield and shield share, basically able to shield your character and teammates from getting a hit from the EXE. If your shield is up and you get hit by the EXE, it gives you a speed boost allowing you to outrun the EXE. But what also makes this really good is for some reason the shields last for 10 seconds. This basically means you have 10 seconds where if the EXE attacks you, you're able to just run away, or just 10 seconds of invincibility practically. Her shield also comes with 3 modes: bubble mode, fire shield, and normal shield. I recommend almost always using fire or bubble shield, since normal shield doesn't really work. Before, normal shield gave you speed while the other 2 gave you abilities. For example, fire shield allows you to dash once, and bubble shield allows you to bounce to higher places, but now they all give you speed once they burst. Now, what makes this character better than Cream is that she doesn't have to stand still while using the ability. She can run around and activate on any teammate. And her cooldown is pretty good, only being around 28 seconds. It's practically the same amount of time for Cream, but you're able to shield 2 people and you aren't vulnerable. For that, I believe she deserves 5th place, including the fact that you're able to get your teammates out of sticky situations and defend for yourself pretty easily. Now in 4th place is Sonic's biggest rival, Shadow the Hedgehog. Shadow the Hedgehog is a complete stunner class, but also has a lot of mobility. His 2 abilities allow him to gain large range from the EXE if he's chasing him, but also have pretty good stuns. The one kind of issue with him is he has some of the longest cooldowns inside of the game, but he makes up for that for a lot of time he can stun and how easily he's able to get out of situations. It's almost very hard for the EXE to dodge these attacks since they're so fast, and most of the time they don't realize that you're able to jump over them. You almost see him in every single match, which is pretty crazy, but one thing you do have to worry about is Colossus can block your homing attack, which actually stuns you instead of him. Other than that, there's not really much to say. He's a really good character, able to give you ground from the EXE if you need, but also help your teammates because of how long the attack ranges are. But with that, we're getting to the top 3 now. As of now, in 3rd place, we have Metal Sonic. Metal Sonic is the only character to have more than 100 HP, or different HP at all. He has 150 HP, and for good reason. His 2 abilities, Grapple and Dash, allow him to grab the EXE and push him away from his teammates, and his Grapple is able to grab the EXE and practically do the same thing, but spin him around. This is useful since you're able to get teammates out of a situation since you're immune the entire time you're holding them, or even using the ability. And he also has an ability once you're down called Self-Destruct, but we don't talk about that since it's pretty stupid. Once you use Self-Destruct, you stun the EXE for 5 seconds if they're close to you, but then you're just done. You die. But what really makes him so good is how quick his cooldowns are. His cooldowns are pretty quick and, like I said, allow to get teammates out of many situations. And since he has 150 HP, he's able to take a lot of hit from characters, especially if someone like Sally or Cream to support him. It's almost always crucial to have a Metal Sonic on your team, so that's why he deserves 3rd place, in my opinion. Before we get to the next 2, I want to say make sure to like and subscribe. Honestly, I want to thank you all for 20,000 views on the last video, which is insane, and it means so much to me. Anyways, let's continue. Now, in 2nd place, this might be a little bit shocking for you guys, but it has to be Blaze. Now, if this is confusing some of you, it's because no one really knows how to use Blaze, but it's really good. Blaze has 2 abilities, Fireball and Fire Tornado. Fire Tornado makes you really fast and immune during the process, but has a 1-second windup. You are also able to stun the EXEs multiple times. And her Fireball is able to grab any EXEs that touch it and pull them away. Now, this might not sound too crazy, but hear me out. What you can do is with Fire Tornado, you're able to hit the EXE 3 times in one cycle, then use your Fireball to push him away. It's literally impossible for him to dodge based off of how the timing works. Also, since the Fireball's radius is so huge, it's always going to grab them. Now, how is this useful? Well, by the time the EXE catch back up to you and your team, your cooldowns are already at 8 seconds. So say you have a Shadow or something helping you, you can literally infinitely just stun the EXE, push him away, run away, and rinse and repeat. As you see in the clip, that's literally what I'm doing with the silver, and we won. If they don't fix this because it's the feature, she is really broken against all the EXEs since Colossus can't block her abilities either. She's practically a walking impenetrable doom for any EXEs who get near her, but only if you play her correctly. And now, we're about to get to the first place spot, and believe me, it's either going to shock all of you or none of you. Coming in first place has got to be Eggman. Now, you might be wondering, oh, Eggman's a support character, why isn't he first? Well, I'll explain. Eggman has an ability called turrets, which once you build them, are able to slow down the EXE, but use ammo. If an EXE punches it, then it's destroyed, but he's able to just keep placing them. He also has an ability called jetpack, which allows him to get high range from an EXE if he wants to, or if he holds it down, he can dash forward, getting away in a prick situation. But also, his third and final ability is called Zapper, which is able to zap the EXEs and slow them to a halt. And what I mean by a halt is, let's say a Colossus rush literally doesn't move. He basically just starts walking in place. That's how slow they get. But what makes him really overpowered is his turrets are really broken, I think. They're able to make Colossus, EXE, and Tailstall 4 times slower than they should be. You're literally able to outrun the EXEs, which is crazy. But also, instead of taking around 3% out of 100% per turret shot, it only takes 1. So they're able to stand up for a while. And before, I'm pretty sure if it could only shoot on a flat surface, so if the EXE is above you, couldn't shoot above, it shoots anywhere it wants now, as long as it's in a radius. But there's also a glitch going around where the slowness starts stacking, so even though there's no turrets around, you will just get slower and slower. Even though he might have the biggest hitbox, he well then makes up for it for all of his abilities. It's really come down to a point where if you do not have an Eggman with you, you almost lose every single match. That's how essential he is. Apparently, his master plan was to completely break TD Reborn. And with that, that's all the characters ranked inside of TD Reborn as of now. Of course, next update, we're going to be adding Charmby, Vector, and Espio, which we'll do another ranking then, since a lot of characters are getting changes. But anyways, thank you all for watching the video. Hope you all liked and enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Later.